Welcome to the Book Flood Podcast. I am your host, Tom Nixon. My guest this week is Kelvin Watson. Kelvin is the Executive Director of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District and was recently selected as Librarian of the Year by Library Journal. Welcome, Kelvin.
Hi, Tom. I'm happy to be here.
So very happy you could be here. A big fan of you and your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's start with your career trajectory. You're now the executive director there. What had you done before that?
So prior to me becoming the director of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District, I served as the director of the Broward County Libraries in Florida, which is just north of Miami, south of Palm Beach, for folks who don't know that area. And prior to that, I served at numerous roles with the Queens Library in New York. I started as director of digital services and strategies. When I left, I was the chief operating officer for that library system. Prior to that role or those roles at Queens, I served as the head of acquisitions and chief collection development officer at the National Agricultural Library in the DC area as part of the USDA Agricultural Research Service. And prior to that, I was not directly involved with working in libraries, but I worked for Borders, the bookstore chain, as well as the Library Corporation, as well as Ingram Book Company. So that's my career trajectory after I left the Army. So initially, after college, I was in the Army, and I served as an officer in the Army and the infantry.
Army officer, I don't know if we can even continue this. I was Navy enlisted, and so there just seems to be something wrong there. No. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, what is the most challenging part of leading libraries?
I think the challenging parts of leading libraries is dealing with the change, not only internally, but externally, all the external factors that play into leading libraries that you have to think about. And depending on how your library is structured, a lot of that has to do with your funding, for example, right? You have to be worried about your funding. How is your funding going to come? Then there's also, in some cases, where you have the public, especially in recent years, where you have the public, coming for libraries and being the leader, but coming for libraries when it's the discussions about book banning and removal of books. I'm going to say beyond just banning books, the actual removing of books. And I think another challenging role in leading libraries is the political landscape of having to navigate not only with your local politicians, but also sometimes your state and federal as well. So managing all of those constituencies, as well as your staff, the public, the internal, external factors, those will kind of play a lot into leading the library.
Has Clark County experienced much in the way of book banning and wanting books pulled?
So the library district has not had a lot of issues. And when I say a lot, we have individuals who, because of our policies, the public is allowed to, of course, express their comments about books, movies, or any other resources that we carry. And so they will write us and we then respond basically with our collection development policy as the guiding factor and how we selected material and why we have it in our collection. So we get we've had a few, when I say a few, not similar to having what the Clark County School District has actually had to. Their encounters have been a lot more vocal and a lot more direct with organizations like Moms for Liberty and having a Moms for Liberty member actually on their board. So as a school board member. So they've had a lot more because there's the policy pieces are the things that I would tell you, Tom, is you need to have your policies pretty tight to deal with the public who are coming at you with these book banning or requests for removal. But also when you have a board, if you already have a policy in place that can help you, if the board isn't up to changing the policy in the way that folks are doing things, like in, Rutherford County, Tennessee, for example, where I lived, that are dealing with the library director is fighting significantly against the board, and they're working to remove
Before I retired, I was the leader for a large school district's library services. And you were not wrong. If you don't have a strong policy in place, and I have colleagues in other districts who did not, and most of them now do, because this is how you learn.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, our policy was in place prior to my arrival as library director. And, our collection development team, they vet the request. There's a process that it comes to me. So I know about so when I say that there's not been a lot, I can actually say, yeah, there's not been a lot because I haven't had to deal with a lot of those things, knock on wood, where I've had to either respond or get further involved in the conversation. But it's interesting that I just saw a comment card because we get comment cards from the public. But one of the comment cards said, I was browsing the shelves and I see that you have a lot of left wing material on the shelf and not enough right leaning material on the shelf. So it's funny because, one, you should search the catalog to actually know what we have in our collection.
Right.
Secondly, you should that way you get a really accurate picture of what's there and what's not, because on that day maybe the things were all checked out, for example, right? That's that. Or you look at it and say, well, what is the publishing industry doing right now? Maybe more books are being published on one side or the other, but you can't say that we as the library district we have a movement towards making sure that we have these materials available and not something else available.
Do you get any of these complaints from outside the district? I remember one of the biggest ones, and it was page after page from somewhere in
Uh,
deepest, darkest Northern California. Had nothing to do with us, but here, these books are on your shelves, except they have no clue. They've just been given a list.
right. We haven't received anything from outside of outside of Southern Nevada, outside of Nevada. And I'll be honest, it's been so far and in between from when I've last seen a request. I know the book that you're talking about is gender queer, probably. I did receive a complaint about that book with the pages copied, but that was probably 3 years ago
Mm.
that I actually received that. Yeah. Yeah.
So you were selected as Library Journal's 2026 Librarian of the Year. What has been your experience with that?
So my experience with that has been it's been twofold. I'll be honest, Tom. I thought that the Library Journal, Lisa Pete, the editor who wrote, I thought it was a true reflection of the body of work that I've had an opportunity to participate in as well as lead. Right. I thought it said everything that you could probably go on the internet and actually do research on, to say, okay, did this really happen? What was going on? So from that perspective, being highlighted, and the work again that's gone now probably nearly 15 years of work from my days at Queens till now, they covered all of that work, right? So I don't think it was, I wouldn't say that I was awarded it for one thing, but
Mm.
it was, here is an individual that has done a lot of groundbreaking work in the field of the library and serving diverse and underserved populations, right? When you think about the projects that I've had a chance to work on, like, the one of the first tablet programs in the nation, like delivering tablets to the community that were already preloaded with applications. And that was at Queens. And it happened right after Hurricane Sandy. And that
Mm.
we also provided those tablets along with, again, one of the first libraries to do this, lending hotspots. This was in the early, you're talking 2012, 2013 timeframe that
Oh,
we
wow.
started doing these projects. And so, but also breaking barriers to provide access to the public in places and spaces that they hadn't seen necessarily before, or delivered the way that we were delivering it. I was just in the Fort Lauderdale airport yesterday. And when I was the Broward County Library's director, led a project with the airport director to actually bring digital library access to the community, the people that lived
Mm.
in our area, but also to the travelers. And so you scan the QR code, and this is pre-COVID. So pre-COVID work, we were already leading efforts to really leverage QR codes, the usage of QR codes to launch into digital services. So those are just a couple, and so it's been great to be recognized for that work, or feel like man, it hasn't been all for naught. It's been because we've been doing great work. We've been leading great work. We continue to lead great work, and we also continue to be recognized for it.
Yeah, definitely ahead of the curve for sure. Much of what you said, there were a number of places after COVID that started doing those types of things, but before COVID, it wasn't even on.
No, we in Broward, I kind of say, that we were prepared. And when I say we were prepared, because we already had a relationship with the Broward County schools to
Mm,
provide library cards to the students. This was in 2017 that we established that.
mm.
So we were actually providing digital library cards to students in 2017. And so you saw a lot of schools and public libraries really trying to work together during COVID to provide that access. And I always say, we were ready. And you probably heard the saying, we stay ready, or we're already ready, so we don't have to get ready. That
Mm,
was one of
mhm.
those things where you don't know what's going to happen, but you build these relationships and partnerships, and they turn out to be, you know, much more, advantageous. Social distancing, for example, we had established, I guess, 2017, 2018 in Broward. We were using the Frigo music service in the outside gyms that were part of our parks and rec offerings. So if you walked up to, there was an area that we had where you could launch into a QR code, and you could have music while you were working out outside. Again. So if you think about social distancing, you talk about some of that stuff,
Right.
we were already thinking about how to provide services in a distinct way, and there was no COVID.
So your library district has been awarded 3 years in a row the ALA Information Today Library of the Future Award. What does it take to get that?
Well,
And 3 years in a row.
it takes some of the things that we're talking about right now. It really takes not just vision, but also execution and putting things into action. And so one of the recognitions, or why we received one of the first recognition, was because of our partnership with the Regional Transit Commission, which is the busing
Mm,
system here in Southern Nevada. And we launched a project with them to offer digital access to the books on the buses, leveraging the
mm,
buses Wi-Fi. So 400 buses, and we were able to bring the library to our bus riders here in the community. Not only residents, but also people who were visiting Las Vegas at that time as well. So QR codes, we leveraged SMS text messaging services as well to deliver this. And the idea started probably around March of 2021. We launched it probably around August of 2021. So again,
wow.
being able to move quickly, take action, execute, get everything in place. Another one of those recognitions was the following year, which was our project to provide cell phones to unhoused individuals living in our community.
Mm,
So we, the library district, provided these cell phones, data plans, as well as cell phone service, and we preloaded the devices with social service agencies contacts in the phone already. Partnered the other significant piece of that is that we partnered with the Nevada Homeless Alliance and the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth. They identified the recipients of the phones, and the library was the conduit to just make that happen.
mm,
And then another project that we've done, multiple projects that we did after that, was the work that we've done with I say returning citizens, but people who've been incarcerated,
Right.
and that we work with and have put libraries inside of a halfway house. We also work closely with an organization called Hope for Prisoners that works with returning citizens and their families and reunification and job resources. So those are a few. There's a couple more as well, but that kind of gives you an idea of
Hmm.
how, you say, how do you do 3 years in a row? You do it because you don't stop thinking about the communities and the service and how to serve them in a much different way. But we won't probably be receiving another one because they say we can't apply anymore. We 3 years in a
3
row,
years in a row
3 years in a row.
is a pretty
So
good run.
yeah, we got a pretty good run, and I've had the opportunity to be a part of receiving 5 of those. One was in Broward, and one was in Queens as well.
It sounds like fighting the digital divide is something that's very important to you in the work you do. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, I would say that. I would say that digital divide, digital literacy, is something that is and has been important to me probably for nearly 30 years.
Mm.
So I grew up in the inner city of St. Louis. In and from I'm a product of one of those underserved communities, and so thinking back 30 years ago, nearly about 30 years ago, when I was at the when I was at Ingram, and people were starting to move from personal PCs to laptops.
Mm.
And that remember a lot of people in my family didn't have laptops, couldn't afford laptops, and I was encouraging them to go to the library.
Mm.
So 30 years ago, I actually wrote articles on the significance of the digital divide again 30 years ago. And what has happened is that we still have a significant digital divide as the resources and technologies have changed and improved these tools that are out there, and that a lot of communities either don't have access to those, or they don't, or there's a digital literacy issue that they don't know how to use those tools effectively.
So you've been there now for 5 years?
5 years.
5 years.
Five.
In that time, what are the changes that have had the most impact?
I think one of the changes has been just the acknowledgement and recognition of the library itself, or libraries themselves, right?
Mm.
Is that, the death knell in the library is still being talked about, and we're still thriving. We're still being successful. And we just opened up a brand new library December 9th, this past December. And to the community, to Southern Nevada, to people outside of our area and the community, you can see that communities are still investing in libraries, the importance of libraries, and that we have the tools and resources. We're not just book warehouses or book repositories, that we do so much more to help our community improve and to really change and improve people's lives.
So you personally are active in what I like to call library world, in the greater library world, ALA and other things. Why is that important for you?
It's important to me because it allows me to be a part of the overall community, sharing the things that we've done successfully, the things that we've tried and maybe rethought. So it's about giving back as
Mhm.
well, sharing that experience. Like, so none of this is, owned by Kelvin. None of these is like, you can, let me try to help you duplicate and replicate some of these programs and services. And so that helps me to find places and spaces like ALA, like PLA, like the Urban Libraries Council, for example, the numerous boards and advisory boards that I serve on across the country, where again I'm able to share and ha- and to have a voice, right? So when I think about it, I'm thinking about what I mentioned a little earlier. Me coming from one of these an underserved community, being a part of, not just because I'm an African American male, but being, but also, having been somewhat, we'll say somewhat unhoused once upon a time in my life when I was a teenager.
Mm,
or also not, having, money sometime, because we had to make difficult choices to eat
right.
or, to have a place to stay. So I think those give me, those things gives me, um, an opportunity to share those experiences, as well. And what I am continually being an advocate for and showing my advocacy the way that I want to show my advocacy. Right. Cause I think that's one of the things that people sometimes don't recognize about me. I'm going to be a more of a pragmatic, thoughtful advocate,
Mhm,
utilizing my places and spaces and that I don't have to be, I don't have to be picketing and doing, I don't have to be loud, right? I don't have to be
mm,
loud. I can just be the person that I am, the leader that I am, and let the work speak for itself. The works, the
right.
work speaks for itself, right? There's no, what, as they say, we have the receipts. Those are the receipts. I know what it has come because of the things that I've personally led, the ideas, the things that I've been a part of, the teams that I've been a part of. I think that's helped. I think it's helped us not have some of the challenges. Not that some of these places wouldn't have had challenges because how different parts of the country, even if you are doing things like that. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is people are so we have so many allies because of the work that we're doing that it helps keep those detractors and distractors away.
What are you working on now?
What am I working on now? Well, we are about to roll out our 2031 strategic playbook. We call our strategic plan the strategic playbook because
Mm,
it's much more actionable than the traditional strategic plans. So we're rolling that out. We're about to also roll out our internal and external AI plans. And so
mm,
there's also some AI things that we'll be sharing. We've been doing a lot with a couple of organizations that are doing some pilots. And so, because of our past practice and the things that we've been successful in, a lot of partners want to come to us and partner, because they say this is a great place to partner with. So that helps. And it also helps to be the librarian of the year. Those things help you when you are doing those. So we're working on the AI plans. We just wrapped up our fourth um, our 14 empowerment summit that just wrapped
mm.
up a few days ago. So we're working on a lot of things like expanding our partnerships, expanding. We got we're in Vegas, so we got F1 here. I think I'm meeting with F1 this week. So we're
Oh,
trying to
wow.
figure out how we're going to work with F1. We just launched a partnership with Speedway actually a few weeks ago. And so, yeah, if I probably would spend another hour probably going through the list of things, the different ideas. We've got another something else to share is we're working on a partnership to provide dental services to the community. We're already doing eyeglasses. So we're doing
Mm,
eyeglasses now. We're in a partnership with, again, all partnerships, nothing that we like. These are partnerships that have either come to us as opportunities for people to work through the library, or we're looking at these and reaching out to develop these partnerships as well. The dental one, for example, we're if when it works, I'm going to say if it works, when it works, it's with the UNLV Dental School. So again,
uh-huh.
leveraging
Wonderful.
partnerships. Yeah. Leveraging the UNLV. Right. So things that people may, I think even the looks, like the look you just, you have kind of like, that's something different. They're working with the dental
Right?
school, right? So it's that type of thing that I think we strive to do. I strive to do is surprise people with the work or who our partners are and how we're delivering it.
So, a question that I ask everybody: is there a book or a series of books from your childhood that still resonates with you?
Probably To Kill a Mockingbird.
Mm,
That one resonates with me a lot. That was probably one of the first kind of novels that I really like, where we delved into it when I was a freshman in high school. We delved into it. We did a lot of writing about it, a lot of thinking about a lot of what was happening. That the book kind of talked about, the what was happening in in communities and segregation and uh, uh, understanding individuals, who they are, emotional. Now, we didn't even use this word back then, but emotional intelligence, for example, right,
Mm.
and things like that, right. And so that book probably resonates a lot with me still today, and a lot of things that I read in high school. Some of these books that they're trying to actually ban and remove were some of the most influential on me. You talk about that one, you talk about A Raisin in the Sun, you talk about there's a few more, but those two reach out, they kind of touch base and think about I you know, make me think about a lot of things. Still to this day.
What are you reading now?
What am I reading now? So I just downloaded what I mostly read reports. That's what I'm mostly reading, but I don't get
I feel you.
so,
Yep.
so I wish I could get to there's a book I just downloaded. It's called and I hope I haven't started it yet. It's called Tough. One of my childhood friends just recommended it to me. And so I gotta look it up. So I'm sorry, Ty, got off the screen
No,
for a
no
minute.
worries.
The book is Turf Wars. So I hope it's by DeMaurice Smith, and I hope to get to read it. Listen to it, but it's about the NFL owners, and it's supposed to be a really good book. And like I said, one of my childhood friends he recommended it to me about a week ago, and I downloaded it. So hopefully I'll get a chance to listen to it soon.
Excellent. Are you a big audiobooks fan?
I am a fanatical audiobook fan. I've been an audio fan way before digital audiobooks. As I
Mm.
mentioned, I worked for Ingram. And when I
Right.
was at Ingram, I used to be in sales. So I was a
Mm.
sales rep. And I lived in the Nashville, Tennessee area where Ingram is headquartered. But my territory was Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan.
Jeez.
So, so I
Just a
did a
little
lot.
territory.
So I did a lot of driving. A lot of driving. One day I was in the office, and I knew I was going to have a long drive. I think I was driving from Nashville through Kentucky, and I was
Mm.
going to do some Southern Ohio visits. And I got an audiobook, and I've been an audiobook fan since. Back then, it was multiple CDs. Actually, you know
Right.
what? Actually, there was cassettes. It was cassettes, as a matter of fact. I've been doing audiobooks since the cassettes, the volume 8, 9, 10 cassettes. And then of course I moved to CDs. From then now, certainly do digital, but I used to walk, I still do, but I will walk, and have my Walkman and listen to the CDs, for example, while I was walking. And I just changed them out. So again, been big. I haven't probably read a novel, an actual physical novel or something like that, fiction or even a nonfiction book, other than probably school books, textbooks. I listen to everything. So probably nearly 30 years. I've been an audio fan. Again, we talked about COVID. I was already a big audio fan way before COVID.
I reached a point where you want me to read something, that's fine, but you better be providing it in an audio format because I've got books, but I find that, because I go for a walk, I'm listening to
Yeah,
something. I'm in my car and listen to something.
yeah. It's just and like I said, I've been, even when I used to go on vacation and I would just listen to audiobooks
Mm.
while I was driving around. And I've had a lot of, time in sales and my other roles and driving cross country for whatever reason. And I do 2 or 3 books on a trip. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, much more
Nice.
productive and got a lot accomplished, like I said. And I've listened to some great stuff. I mean, I listened to all of the Dr. King speeches on cassette. Yeah, just so I still, for some reason, I still keep the cassette. I got to transfer them over to digital because I have all these cassettes that I
Mm.
still have from years ago. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Kelvin, for being on the
Welcome.
podcast.
Welcome,
For
Tom.
our listeners and watchers, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And again, thank you, Kelvin. This has been wonderful.
Welcome. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. All right.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.